Hi guys, welcome to the studio. I'm Valerie. In this video, I am talking about one of my favorite subjects in design and decor, and that's fabrics. Now, there's a term I want to introduce to you guys. Well, maybe some of you have already heard the term, but for those of you who've never heard the term, railroading your fabric. This is what railroading your fabric means. Basically, you take the width of your fabric and you turn it into the length of your fabric. And therefore, your length of your fabric becomes the width of your fabric. Now, sometimes it is done because your fabric width may just be the right measurement for your project. So instead of doing all that cutting, you just go ahead and switch it around, so then you have your width becoming your length. Now, other times you may just do it because the pattern in the fabric lends itself to a more aesthetically pleasing look, so you decide to use your width for your length. However, there are a couple things that you have to be mindful of when you are railroading your fabric. Make sure that the weave or the knit or the content of the fabric allows itself to a smooth finish, because sometimes when fabrics are railroaded, they can actually pucker. And puckering of your curtains, especially on your edges, it's not a good look. However, railroading is not a bad thing at all, because actually you could railroad your fabric and you buy less fabric. I want to show you the easiest way to do your double hem. You know, when you're doing your double hem and you will fold your fabric once and then you'll fold your fabric again and you'll press, you can't quite see what's going on behind here. So sometimes it might not be done cleanly. For this demonstration, I'll do a double hem that's 2.5 inches deep. So I'll fold my fabric and I'll measure off 5 inches. I'll put a pin here. Then I'll press. So now I have pressed in my seam at the bottom here. I'll go ahead and I'll take my pins out, unfold, and then I'll take the end back to the seam that I just pressed in. And then I'll just go ahead and press. And then I'll just fold back to the seam that I made previously. And I will be teaching about mitering your corners. Now, sometimes when you do projects that you have two hems meeting, you can either flat stitch the one over the other, the bottom over the side or the side over the bottom, or you can do a mitered corner. By far, a mitered corner usually gives you a more clean and tailored look. I will be using this piece of fabric to teach you how to do the mitered corner. Using 2-inch hems, what I'll do is start measuring to make a double hem. So I am measuring 4 inches and then I will fold over to get the half, which will be 2 inches. Bottom line, if your fabric is cut square and you're not dealing with lots of fabric, when you measure one end of your fabric, the rest of the fabric should line up nicely on the other side. So I'll go ahead and I'll iron. Yes, I iron whenever I'm doing seams or hems because it does help. It makes your job easier. So you just press those seams in or those lines in and you'll be better able to handle what you're doing. So I have 4 inches here. I'll open now and I'll fold back to the line and I'll press. In so doing, I'm getting my 2-inch hems. Then I'll fold back and just go ahead and press again. So let's call this the bottom hem. Next, we'll do the side hem. I do use pins sometimes, but if it's not necessary, I don't. It's just a short run, and so I don't necessarily need pins here. So for the side, I'll do the same. I'll fold the fabric 4 inches in. And it lines up nicely on the other side because I cut the piece of fabric square. Go ahead and press. If you have a longer run, then you'll want to pin before you press. So you would measure, pin, and then press. I'm going to open this back out, and then I'm going to fold to the line that I pressed in. I'm going to press. Fold it back. And press again. Now I could stop here and take this to the sewing machine, stitch along here and stitch along here, or just hem instead of flat stitching. However, as I said, a mitered corner makes your project look way more tailored. So let's open the folds and you should be able to see the lines. However, what I'll do is I'll use a fabric crayon and I'll just put lines where I have the pressed lines so that you can better see it on camera. There we go. So here I have all my lines. The next thing to do is where the two folds intersect at this juncture and this juncture, I will draw a line across. So just make sure you join them. I'll take it closer and I'll let you see where the lines intersect here and here. We're going to draw a line across here. So you just have to make sure you line up your straight edge nicely. And then draw your line. take the pins out and go ahead and cut this piece of fabric off. We're cutting this corner off. Now we're going to take the fabric and we're going to fold in half, just across where we just finished cutting. And this lines up nicely. I'll just put a couple pins in. So we are making a mitered corner. I'll just flip the fabric like so. And where we have our line on the inside here, we will measure. This is 1.5 inches. So we take the measure over to this end and we measure just like so. Line it up right on the corner and measure 1.5 inches in. Then get the straight edge and draw a line from this point across. So this is going to be our stitching line. However, we are doing a double hem, so our stitching will stop right here. It doesn't go all the way to the end. It stops right here where these lines intersect. And I'll just go ahead and stitch. Then we can take the pins out. After you have stitched your corner, you can then go ahead and just put a line across here and cut all this fabric off because it's useless, and what it will do is just make your corner more bulky. Then we can put a little notch right here and then just iron down on the inside here. The whole point is to open the seam. And then, now the seam's opened, we go ahead and we flip our mitered corner inside out. I'll just use my scissor to poke out the very end there. And that's it. We have a mitered corner. So you can see the reason why we didn't stitch further than here is because it's a double hem. So now we will fold this part back here and we will fold back here, and we have ourselves a mitered corner. It's all done. All you have to do is hem along here, or you can just take it to your sewing machine and flat stitch down to here and across here, and you're my face is not on camera because I'm doing a focused video right now, and it is about cutting a straight line on your fabric when you're doing projects. Now, I have a couple videos online. One is with the straight edge on the table, and the other one is with the pull method. Now, somebody asked, what happens if I am pulling and the yarn keeps breaking? This is what you do in that case, because what happens is that some weaves are pretty tight, so some yarns are not as strong as others. So the tighter weave, the weaker yarns will tend to break when you're pulling. You just have to try your best to be as gentle as possible. So this is what you do. You start your cut, and then after you start your cut, you pull a yarn from the off cut. Never pull the yarn from the side where you're going to use for your project. You pull the yarn from the off cut, okay? And you gently start from the bottom and you pull to get as far as possible. So what's happening now is your yarn is giving you a straight line. Now that just broke, and that was the question. What happens when it breaks? Well, what happens here is, if you look closely, you will see that there is actually a line there. So you take your scissor and you cut on the line that you can see. Okay? Don't cut further than you can see. You cut as far as you can see. Then you take your offcut again. Never do it on the side with the fabric that you're going to be using for your project. Do it on the side of the offcut always. And you go ahead and you pull another yarn and you gently, it broke again. But as you can see, it left you a line. So you get your scissors and you keep cutting. You cut as far as you can see. You get your offcut again, not your project side, your offcut, and you pull the next yarn and you take your time. There. This time it broke even sooner, but you have a line there. So I think by now you get the gist. You just keep pulling and cutting until you're finished cutting your straight edge. That's going to be great for your project. Now I must remind you, when the yarn breaks and you have to pull again, never pull from the side of your project piece. Always pull from the offcut side, and never keep pulling without cutting. When it breaks and you see that line, cut, pull, breaks, cut, pull, breaks, cut, pull from the offcut side. So I hope that helps. In this lesson, I will show you how I insert the zipper. Just about 1.5 inches from the end here of the panel. I have my pin. It's 1.5 inches in and 1.5 inches in here. And I'll mark off 1/2 inch from the edge here, because that is where I will be stitching. This will be my stitching line. And I will do the same thing on this side. I'll mark off 1/2 inch. So it's 1/2 inch from the top edge to where I will be stitching, and it's 1.5 inches from the side edge to where I will be stitching here. Take this to my sewing machine and stitch here and here. So now I have stitched this side and I have stitched this side. As far as it's possible, keep your zipper closed. But when you get to where your zipper pull is, put your needle down into the zipper and the fabric, lift up your zipper foot and pull back the zipper pull past the zipper or the regular sewing machine foot. Then put the foot back down and continue stitching.
Thanks so much for watching. If you've learned anything from today's lesson, please subscribe, comment, like, and share. You take care now. I'll see you in the next video.